Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of PRandMore with Nigerian women in PR. It is good to be back here this Thursday. We're so glad to be back with another interesting guest on PRandMore. PRandMore is an initiative of Nigerian women in PR, and we created this program generally to reach our community of women who are on social media, and of course enlighten and educate about different topics from PR and beyond. That's why we call it PRandMore, because it's not just about PR, it's really about PR and beyond. My guest is here today. Olugbenga Ogunbowale is going to join me this evening, and for those who are new here, well, I think it's just us here, but I'm going to just wait a few minutes for other people to join us. So as soon as more people join us, we will kick off. I will bring Olugbenga Ogunbowale on. We're talking about something that everyone needs. Well, a lot of people need. A lot of people struggle with as well. So if you've struggled over time with getting grants, international grants as an individual or for your organization, then I would say please use the share link to share this video to your community. I know Benga is waiting as well. If you kindly share Benga with your community as well. So please share this video with the community so they can join us. But let me tell you a bit about Nigerian women in PR. For those whose this is their first PRandMore event, this is Nigerian women in PR. I know a lot of people will join because of Benga today, so I think I'll repeat this later when we have more people join us. But just for the sake of introduction, my name is Ronke Giwa Onofowa, by the way. I'm a broadcaster and I'm also a volunteer with Nigerian Men in PR. And being a volunteer at Nigerian Men in PR has really been wonderful. It's opened major doors for me and it's given me lots of fantastic opportunities to meet people I normally would not have had, the opportunity to meet. And I have grown professionally just from being a volunteer with Nigerian Men in PR. Nigerian Women in PR is a social impact organization. We're established in 2019 and registered as the Public Relations Women Foundation. And we've since succeeded in building a robust network of practicing and aspiring female public relations professionals of Nigerian descent. And to this end, we're definitely, if you'd love to partner with us, if you'd love to be a volunteer at Nigerian Women in PR, please visit the link in the bio. You can visit us on LinkedIn at Nigerian Women in PR. We're on Facebook at Nigerian Women in PR as well. This is our handle for those who are joining because of Benga. This is our handle. Please follow us and go to the link in bio after this session to find out if you'd like to be a volunteer, if you'd like to be a member of Nigerian Women in PR. There are loads of opportunities available for you. I can testify that, my professional life was elevated to another level since I've been a volunteer at Nigerian Men in PR. And so I hope that you join us as well. There's so many benefits. All right, so today's topic is how to successfully apply for international grants. How to successfully apply for international grants. Welcome to those who are joining us. Thank you, Dara, Simi, Mary. Thank you, Bemileke. Thank you, everyone who's joined us this evening. Please use the share button. I think that this topic is one that a lot of people struggle with, and that's why it's important for you to share this link. You'll see the arrow that says share this video. Please share to your community, share to your friends. Let's get as many people to join us. I think it's time to bring in my guest. Yes, Benga will be joining me now. I actually met Benga a long time ago. I've known Benga for a bit personally, and so it is good to catch up with him again on this session and to interview him. Hi, Benga.
Hi, okay, good evening. I can hear you very clearly.
I can hear you clearly. How are you? Can everybody hear him? Can everybody hear us? Let's just test the audio and the visual for a bit. If you're in the session, so on this live, please let us know if the audio is great, because it's important that you hear us loud and clear. Please, we ask you to use the share button to invite as many people as possible to this session. It's going to be an interesting one. Trust me, Benga is an expert on this thing, and he's been doing this for a while. Like I said, I met him it's been years, Benga, that you were last on my radar.
Yes.
And you have stayed consistent, which is amazing. He has stayed consistent with this thing, and I've seen him growing in leaps and bounds. So he definitely has a lot to tell us, to teach us, And of course, it's going to be very inspiring. So please share. Use the share button to share to people in your community. Let me share to people in my community as well. And of course, ask as many people as possible to join us if they'd love to. Please join us. Please be a part of this session. Okay, I've invited a few people as well. So please use the share button to invite people. All right, it's good to have Benga here. I'll just read his profile real quickly. Olugbenga Ogunbowale is a social entrepreneur and communications executive, an alumnus of the Leadership in Business Institute of Kellogg School of Management, USA. He has a certificate in integrated marketing communication from IE Business School, a certificate in humanitarian communication from University of Geneva, Switzerland, and a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology from Obafemi Awolowo University. Olugbenga is Group CEO of ePower. All right, let me move here where it says that he's a philanthropist at heart, which is phenomenal. He's a Mandela Fellow, Washington Fellow and Ambassador, Tony Elumelu Fellow, Mentor and Influencer, Royal Commonwealth Society Fellow, Yali West Africa Fellow, Yali Star of Business, National Youth Service Corps Merit Award winner, Yali Network Influencer, International Partner representing Nigeria at World Business Angels Investment Forum. And I could go on and on, but thank you so much once again for agreeing to doing this with us.
I'm so excited to be here. So excited to be here. Thank you for
Thank you. And it's because obviously we've seen you work is why we chose this topic, because I think you've sort of perfected, the art of what we're about to talk about, which is successfully applying for international grants. And, for the sake of maybe people out there who are wondering, okay, international grants, how did you, because you obviously you walk the walk, which is what I love about what you do. We've read your bio and we've seen that you yourself have sort of, done quite a bit. So how did you come to think of international grants, or what was your first international grant, and how did it start? How did it go?
Okay, so it actually started in terms of management grants, 2017. In terms of like winning anything that has to do with where you actually learn something like that. Started in 2016. I was actually into this program by Camel.
Well, the sound is a little distorted. Right? Is it just me? We can't really hear you.
Is it better now?
Okay, it's better. It sounds a little hollow, but it's better.
Okay, let me try just to go there. Maybe that one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, is it better now?
Yes, much better.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So essentially, it started with getting access to that program, because that program itself was supposed to cost millions, and essentially, like I was attending on a scholarship to study at Enterprise Development Center. It's like sister institution to Lagos Business School and same compound, right? And so for the first time, right, it was supposed to pay, was it 5 million or so, more than this amount of money for that program, and then we ended up just paying for our graduation gown, right? Diamond Bank covered everything, and I'm like, wow, right? By just filling a form online. And then I'm here chilling with the big boys. So for me, it was really the first time, not that I don't apply for other things. I applied for some things in the past, but it was really the first time that I would get into such a prestigious program, and then you are being taught by very accomplished people, and you begin to even have imposter syndrome, like, are you sure you did not make a mistake? I'm here. So that was 2015. Then in 2016, I applied for Tony Elumelu Foundation grant. Now, I had applied before, right? So it was not my first time applying. The first application was not serious. Even me, myself, I was not surprised that I was not selected. The second application, I tried, I wasn't selected. So the third time in 2017, I was like, what have I been doing wrong, right? I just went back to the basics. Like, what have I been doing wrong? I started reading up other people that have won the grant, right? Because essentially, you need to follow no route, right? The fastest way to win a grant is to look for people who have either won the grant or people who have experience in writing that grant, right? So to give an example, for instance, let me just digress for 1 minute. At Grandmaster, some of the grants that we've won consistently are grants that we have experience in. So that was exactly what happened to me in 2017. I went after all the things that I won. I went to drink from the fountain of knowledge. Wow. So we did the application, I knew I was going to be selected. The application was on fire.
Wow. 2017. That's wow. Yeah. Okay.
That was when I won my first grant. $5,000.
Okay. All right. So are grants, I mean, is it different when you're talking about grants for an individual and grants for maybe like your organization or NGO? Can you differentiate? Are they different? Is the process different?
Okay, yeah. So there are different kinds of grants. Of course, you have grants for NGOs, you have grants for businesses. The difference is that essentially when you're giving a grant as a business, you are expected to use it for the benefit of the community, but sometimes business grants are also for scaling your business. Yes. So for instance, you can say that I want to use these grants to purchase machinery and to increase my output from point A to point B, right? But for NGOs, essentially the expectation is generally for you to make a major impact to your community, right? Yeah. So grants are usually about projects. For businesses, you may be given money to expand your business. For NGOs, the expectation is usually for you to like, do something in your community. So for instance, it could be an intervention. Maybe you discover that schools in your area don't have good teachers, right? Then you can decide that you want to place students or university students and place them into primary schools to teach. You can decide that you want to place on a school don't have to teach and place them to plug that gap. So grant funding is usually given to you to plug a gap. You are like the plug, right? There's a problem. The funder is looking for people who can solve that problem, and then you apply with your idea, and the funder picks you to execute that project. So generally, if I were to explain grant funding in a sentence, that's it. Grant funding is specifically for you to execute the project, for you to be the plug to solve the problem.
Okay, so when it now comes to, let's start from the individual, because there may be people here who you're thinking you want to, why would an individual, for example, need an international grant, and what would it be used for?
Okay, so the thing is that for an individual, it's very difficult for an individual to get a grant. Very difficult. Okay. Grants are usually for organizations. So when I say organizations, I mean like business and NGOs. The reason why it's difficult for an individual to get a grant is that you are not, as an individual, you don't have a corporate bank account, right? Mm-hmm. If you have a grant as an individual, you are applying as Olugbenga, right? And so and you are applying that account where money for kerosene, money for petrol, money for chop, everything entering one account. So that is why, that's one of the reasons. Let me not say why. One of the reasons why funders don't give money to individuals, right? Because essentially, as an individual, you're not responsible as an organization. An organization is responsible. They can sue the organization, right? You can drag each other. There's a limit to how you can even trace an individual. An individual can even vanish. It's not easy for an organization to vanish. You are usually traceable because you have done a lot of paperwork. You probably be registered with CAC, you have bank accounts, you have their fees. So it's very easy to trace you. That is why funders would rather do business, in quotes, with organizations, right? So if you're an individual here, I think the first step is to get registered, right? Register your business or register an NGO, because without those things, you cannot actually apply for a grant. And it goes beyond your business or your NGO. You need to also open a corporate bank account. So, I work at Grandmaster. We meet all kinds of clients all the time, right? So sometimes people come to us, I want to apply for a grant. And then I ask them, okay, are you registered? They go no. Sometimes you ask them, are you registered? They say yes. So what is your bank account? Then they tell me their name. I'm like, no, you're not ready.
Wow.
Nobody is going to give you money that you put in your bank account and turn to your personal savings. No, right? So those are some of the basics. I think the other thing that individuals should know is, even after registering, you need to keep your records, right? You need to keep digital records. Very, very important, because funders want to see your financials. They want to be sure that you're a responsible human being. Grants are usually big. The smallest grants that I've said, like micro grants, are probably like $500 or $1,000. And even as small as those grants are, by the time you convert it to Naira, we're talking like 500,000, right? And those are like the smallest grants, right? So imagine somebody wants to give you a grant of, say, $10,000, right? $50,000. And you want to now receive that money to your passer.
Something fishy going on there.
Exactly, something fishy.
Okay, so for accountability's sake, obviously it's important to that you cannot put in your personal bank account. So obviously that's one of the huge requirements for if you're going to get an international grant. Are there different types, and can you walk us through some international grants, and maybe popular ones, some that are there ones that are easier to get, ones that are harder to get? let's start on what types of international grants are out there that you know.
Okay, so the thing about grants that it really depends on the funder. Grants are usually open all year round. Different grants are open at different times. So it depends on the funder. Now, the thing about grants is they are usually like annual. The cycle is usually annual in nature. So it means that if a grant comes out by February this year, it will most likely open again by February next year.
Right.
So the thing about grants is if you meet the boat this year, you'll probably be able to catch up next year.
Okay.
And another thing is that I work at Grant Master, for instance, we have clients who say, oh, find grants for me. I want to apply for 10 grants. We just laugh. Like, we tell them, sorry, we know you are passionate and you want to win grants, but it doesn't work that way. Why? Because, see, the key thing about applying for grants is that you need to apply for grants that you qualify for. I know that motivational speakers will tell you things like, apply, even when you don't qualify, right? Or maybe pass on the man will tell you that. In grants writing, not be so. Not be so.
Okay.
If you keep applying for things that you don't qualify for, you keep getting rejection emails over and over and over again.
Great. So how do you know when you qualify? How do you know if you qualify? Or are there things that you can do to qualify for certain grants?
Oh, okay, good. So how do you know that you qualified? The first thing is, whenever there's an opportunity for funding, there is something called RFP, which is request for proposal. That is the funder telling you what they're looking for, right? So when you see an announcement saying, oh, apply for maybe US Embassy grant or apply for GID grant, go and check the RFP. Like literally just check the RFP and hear what they're saying. Like, okay, what are they looking for?
What are the requirements?
Right? What are the requirements? Now, let me give an example, for instance. Sometimes some of our clients would see an opening and they go like, yeah, qualify. And then by the time we check, we go like, it's not good to Nigerians, right? Okay. It's funny because part of our job at Grant Master is actually sometimes it's breaking hearts where our clients are like, or prospective clients, they are so excited, it's got an opportunity, and then we find something and we tell them, no, you don't qualify. Look at this fine print. And they go, oh, I missed it. Because it's literally our job to like check the fine print. So I think it's something that anybody can do, essentially. Like, when you see an opening, don't just rush and start applying, just check. Is it open to, sometimes even an opportunity that is open to all Nigerians may not be open to your state.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes the product can say we want to work organizations in so and so and so states, right? So if you now say, oh, I will apply nonetheless, it's automatic rejection. The reason is that grant funding is very competitive. So let's give an example. One of the grants we won earlier this year, at the second stage, I don't even know the number of people that applied at the first stage, it was a Google grant. At the second stage, over 500 people applied. By the time they announced the final winners after the third stage, the interview, they only created about 23 people. 23. So what happens is that when you apply for a grant, at the first stage, they are actually looking for reasons to not give you that money.
Right. Okay.
So that they can remove as many people as possible. They are looking for what did you do wrong? What did you do wrong? They are removing, right? You are not from the right country, out. You don't have bank account, out. So because if you need to think like a reviewer, if the reviewers have to like start looking at each person one by one, if they start looking at the application, they will not finish. So they are looking, they want to first look out for people who did not follow instruction, people who know the year one.
The person that disqualifies people when you do not follow instructions.
Exactly, right? So then probably they're now left to maybe like 10% of the people that originally applied. They now cut down from that 10% to like 5%. So I think that's the key thing. Now, you have to like study the eligibility criteria, be sure that you qualify, so you don't waste your time. Now, this is not to say that there are no grants for individuals. There are very few grants. But if I were to put it on a scale of 1 to 100, I would say that only 0.5% of grants are open to individuals.
Right.
0.5. They are very, very tiny, right? I know during COVID, there are quite a number of organizations that gave grants directly to individuals, right? But those ones are like, they are very rare.
Right.
It's like when you see a rainbow in the sky. When next I go to see a rainbow, right?
Yes. Yeah, not sure.
Now, for people who are asking that maybe I don't qualify, how can I qualify? Like, I mentioned some of the basic things that you can do, right? Like making sure that your organization is registered, making sure that you have corporate bank accounts, making sure that you keep financial records, and also making sure that what you do or what you're proposing to do, your project, has a form of social impact, right? Okay. Because founders want to make a difference in the world. So let me explain the theory of winning grants like this.
Yes.
There are two categories of people. There are people who have time but don't have money. There are people who have money but don't have time.
Good time.
Some people have money but they don't have the time to spend it. There are some people grantees that have a lot of time but don't have money, right, to do what they want to do. Right? Think about someone like Mackenzie Bezos, the wife of Jeff Bezos, right? She has given out billions of dollars. She's given out at a speed that is unprecedented, right? Obviously, what is our problem? Our problem is there's so much money she cannot spend it all, right? I know it sounds very crazy, but I
assure you, do good, so she needs people that will do the good, and then she can pay for it.
Yes. Exactly. So it means that if you want to win grants, you have to position your organization as an organization that is really like making an impact in society, right? Making an impact. It's the reason why it's difficult for traders to attract grant funding. If not for COVID that happened, a lot of traders would not have won grants, right? As a trader, you can get a loan because you are buying and you are selling. You can get a loan, but to win a grant is difficult. Why? Because you are not producing anything.
Okay, so that benefits people per se, like that, right?
Yeah, as a trader, you are just a middleman.
Right.
There's no value addition. But if, for instance, as a trader, if you are importing things and you are repackaging, you are adding value.
Right.
You are adding value, right? So that's another thing about like winning grants. So because we get this inquiry a lot at Grandmaster, somebody who's selling yam by the road is saying, "Oh, how can I win grants?" The probability that you win a grant is 0.00005.
But how about an organization like, Nigerian Men in PR does a lot of good for women. We do, right? This is one of the things that we do. And we do also quite a number of events to empower young professionals in PR. So, but obviously we're a social impact organization. We're not making money. I want us to zero down to the money part where you said your books have to be in order. So what do you mean by that? And an organization like Nigerian Men in PR, that's not necessarily making money right now. What would we need to put in place for that?
In fact, NGOs have more grant opportunities. NGOs have more grant openings. So, we can use Nigerian Men in PR as a very good example. For instance, you're empowering women. See, this is the best time in history to be a woman. I can assure you, it's the best time in history, right? Sometimes we joke that why in Jamaica never does make us women and all that. Now, of course, the reason why women are getting these opportunities is because in history there's really been this gap, this gender gap, where you observe that sometimes. To give an example, for instance, and for people on this call, just check out flyers of events, right? Randomly, flyer for it doesn't have to be a business event, even a spiritual event, any kind of event. Just check out flyers. You see that most of the people there are usually men. So the reason why the world is tilted towards women now is we want to bridge that gap. And so the best time to be a woman in history of the world is now. So back to your point about Nigerian women in PR, because you're empowering women, right? Some of the activities that you do, for instance, activities like training. See, training is one category where people win grants every single time. Why? Because there will always be a need for people to learn, relearn, and unlearn. Right? So training is something that will never go away, right? The question is, can you make the training innovative, right? Can you make it end-to-end? Right? What are the things you can add? Because these are some of the things, conversations we have with clients, for instance. You want to do training, okay. What will make this training different from 1 million other trainings? That's really where like expertise now comes in. That's like where you need to, exactly, right? Because let's give an example. Let's say you want to do unemployment training. If the only thing you're doing is teaching people the skill, it's not going to be so useful. But if by the time you train them in the skill, you then give them tools, and then you then plug them in, you better give them work or connect them to mentors or interns that can help them. My God, that is the one that looks at your proposal and they're grabbing their heart and like, oh God, where's my check? They want to write me.
Wow, really? Okay.
Yeah, so Nigerian women in PR are fantastic. The work you did is fantastic. I think you should be thinking in terms of training, for instance. Training is huge, right? And then just in terms of collaborations. Collaborations are key. As an organization, there are things that you may not be able to do by yourself, but look for another organization that has superpowers in that area. Let me give an example, for instance. So elections are coming, right? Nigerian women in PR, a lot of politicians want to do PR. But do you know that a lot of aspiring politicians don't have money to do PR? People just assume that because you are in politics, you have money. It is not so. There are a lot of young politicians who don't have shishi in the bank account, but they just have a good app. Now, we know that in Nigeria, it's very difficult to win elections with a good app, right? So let's design a program together now, so that you know that what we're doing at Grandmaster, we're not playing. Free consulting. If Nigerian women in PR were to work with female candidates who are interested in running for elections, but don't have a sizable budget to do PR, and you then go to a fund and you say, this is what we want to do. We want to give young Nigerian women who are interested in politics, who have capacity but don't have money. We want to work with them to be their PR engine. But we need the funding from you because, of course, PR, you need money to push, media, push all of those things. Yeah. So they have the expertise and willingness to run, but they don't have the money. You have the money, you want Nigeria to be better. You give us money. Let us back these people. Wow. Elections are coming.
I like how you make that seem so simple. I hope it's that simple because we're going to be working on that this year.
So that is where experts is coming, right? Essentially, to give an example, for instance, what happens at Grandmaster is like we jump on the call with the clients, they tell us, oh, this is the idea that I have and all of that, and we just take those rough ideas and we get to work. Wow. And we get to work. So that's like where expertise comes in, because a lot of people, how many people have the patience to sit down and read a 30-page request for proposal?
So that's what you do.
Some request for proposals are as long as 18 pages.
True.
Nobody wants to do that work, right? Nobody wants to do that work. Clients basically, people are interested in grants most of the time. They just want to give you like the high level. This is what they're thinking, and then we go and we run with it. So that's where like it comes in when you work with maybe an agency like PRandMore, Marketplace PRandMore, or probably you have somebody who has won that grant before, and you're like, bros, show me the way, or sister, show me the way, right? That's where the expertise comes in, especially for people who have applied for grants over and over again. You cannot keep doing the same way.
The rejection is not easy to take.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And but for people that get rejected often, what are the common mistakes that you find that people make? The common mistakes that, oh, if they had just done this, perhaps they would have, been able to get that. But what are the common mistakes that you see people make?
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Very good question. One of the common mistakes people make is you'll be shocked, grammatical errors, right? If you are taboing, let me use Nigerian English now. If you are taboing in your application, right, and you are distracting the funder, now, half of the time the funders are probably foreign funders, a lot of funds come from abroad, right, where you have maybe a rich person who launches the foundation, or a government who is trying to support people in developing countries. So half of the time, the person reviewing your grants is probably not from your country, right? Maybe the person speaks English, but then you're not distracting the person with your gun, right, with your gun that you're shooting, with your bad grammar. The person will leave your application and trash it in his paper if the person printed it out, or just delete it from their online. Why? Because there are so many other applications.
Hard to focus, hard to concentrate. It's so distracting. Exactly.
Yes. So grammatical errors one. Another one is people not reading the RFP. I mentioned this earlier. If you do not qualify for it and you are applying, you are stressing the funder. You are literally stressing the reviewer, and they will do justice by throwing away that application, right? So if you are obviously not qualified, that's one reason why you don't win. And
there's no favor involved. No favor in Jesus' name that can get you if you don't.
That is why I mentioned it earlier that if you keep listening to motivational speakers who are saying apply for things you don't qualify for, you are ready to receive rejection emails. That's just you are writing letter to rejection email, right? Once you see you don't qualify for something, just leave it. Look for another opportunity. There will always be a grant that you qualify for, right? So I don't want to sound like motivational speaker on this call because that's not what people need. People who are listening to this, they need the truth. The truth is, apply for grants you qualify for. Grants are too confusing for you to say, in Jesus' name, in Allah's name, I'll be selected. Grants are too confusing. Okay. Let me give you an example. So in school, if you get 78, you're getting A. In grant writing, in order for you to win a grant, you have to score 95 and above.
Wow.
Yes. So I hope the listeners on this call will understand what I'm saying now. When I'm saying that you cannot just be praying and hoping that you're going to get selected. It doesn't work that way. You need to be the best of the best to get selected, right? Which takes you to the next mistake that people make, common mistake. It's using vague language, not being clear. So let me give you an example. So, yeah. You remember when Honorable Patrick was in the house, Honorable Patrick Obiago, you say something like, King Kong, Crown Kong, my fellow, you just say, And maybe what he's trying to say is that when, there is traffic jam, or maybe there's fuel scarcity, he will use one big grammar, and everybody will just be, sometimes they look reclaiming when they're confused, right?
Right.
But nonsense. So if you write jargon like that, you don't win a grant. There's no way you win a grant. Why? Because clarity is important. If you cannot demonstrate that you understand what you're talking about, if you cannot demonstrate clarity, number one, the funder does not know what you want to do. And because funders don't put money inside unprofitable places and places where they don't know what will happen to the money, they will not fund you. Let me give you an example. So say you want to do like an outreach in a community and you want to donate free classes and you want to do free eye surgery in a remote community, right?
Yes.
What should you be talking about? You should talk about the fact that in that particular community, maybe they have a high rate of blindness. Maybe people struggle to see a lot in that community.
Right.
Probably they have an. That is what you should describe. That in Okokobio community, 50% of elderly people lose their sight. Simple English. But some people say, according to the scientific periodic journal, in 2016,
right.
The research that was conducted found out
they want to sound intelligent, they want to sound important.
That by the age of 75, it is likely precocious you have lost the reviewer. The reviewer has already gone. You are just there writing rubbish, right? Now, grant writing is not we don't cite sources, right? We also cite sources. But grant writing is not like a full-blown research, except you are writing a research grant, right?
Okay.
If you are writing a research grant, maybe you're a researcher, you're probably an MSc, PhD. See, the people that will review, they are people like you. They understand your jargon. They are your family members. But if you're applying for a regular grant and you're not writing all those things,
you're not giving them headache because you're writing.
They will just move on to the next application straight up.
So keep it simple.
You have to keep things simple. If a 5-year-old cannot understand your grant proposal, cannot understand what you're doing, if a 5-year-old cannot understand it, you can't win that grant. You cannot win that grant. You can post me anyway. Take later said it. If your grant application, your proposal is not simple enough that a 5-year-old can understand, in fact, there's something called the grammar test. If grandma cannot understand what you're trying to do, you cannot win that grant. You cannot, because sometimes the person reviewing your grant may not necessarily be familiar with the industry. It's not every time that someone from the industry will review your grant, because grants go through multiple stages, right? So before you get to that peer review stage where it's people from the industry that are reviewing, that might be like stage 3.
Right.
Yeah, eventually somebody from the industry will review, but that cannot be the first stage. So if I'm not writing all of that jargon and the person is reviewing for just they go like, this one is not ready yet. Just wasting time.
Wow, fantastic. Before you go on, I know some people have just joined us, so I want to say thank you very much for joining us. This is Nigerian Men in PR, and this is PRandMore, an event we have bi-monthly where we invite experts, we invite thought leaders, we invite professionals from different walks of life to talk about different subjects from PR, and beyond. That's why we call it PRandMore. And today we have Olugbenga Ogunbowale, who is CEO of Grandmaster. And we're talking about how to successfully apply for international grants. So you run an NGO, or you have a project, a pet project, whatever, and you're thinking you have something good going on because you have value to add to your community, but you could do with more money. So a lot of people struggle with actually getting those grants. Benga has taught us a lot, and I wouldn't want us to go back, but what you can look out for is when we upload this video on our page and on our YouTube channel as well, so you can watch back. All he said is something that's super beneficial if you want to get international grants for yourself or for your organization. And he's talking about some of the common mistakes that people make. And he's talked about keeping it simple. You don't have to use grammar that breaks somebody's head just because you're trying to write, for a grant. I know that it can be very nerve-wracking because you feel you want to put your best foot forward. But according to you, Benga, keep it simple. If your grandma or your 5-year-old cannot understand what you're writing, trust me, you are giving them migraine because they have to read through a lot of applications and proposals. So, right. And you also talked about grammatical blunders. I mean, if you can't do it, so can somebody write? Would that be as fair, or if somebody wrote it for me because I'm afraid I would make grammatical blunders? If I needed to defend it, maybe that's why a lot of people are scared. So they think, okay, you know what, take me with my bond just like that, because if I'm going to defend it, I have to be able to defend it. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, okay, so I think like there are several options that you can use. Like for instance, I personally started using Grammarly just a few months ago, and that's because one of our in-house grant writers, she was always talking about Grammarly, Grammarly, Grammarly. Me, I want grants without Grammarly. So for me, I'm like, Grammarly or no Grammarly, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when I started using Grammarly, I was like, it makes my work easier now. Like the correction, because Grammarly is able to point out issues and stuff, little things, right? So Grammarly actually made my work easier. And in fact, actually, I told her, wow, thank you so much for mentioning Grammarly, because initially she was saying, try Grammarly. I'm like, good job. But the one time I tried, I'm like, wow, thank you so much for sharing.
Makes
So
work easier.
Grammarly, yeah, it does. And Grammarly is a free version. You don't even, so that you don't give yourself excuse and say, oh, I don't have the money to pay for premium version. Start with the free version. Start with the free version. You can use Grammarly. You can also use your friends as your editors,
Yes,
right?
right.
Because all of us have at least one friend in our life that is a grammarian. Those people that speak clean English, that use posh words, right? A very good example, for instance, would be my brother, right? I mean, he has been debating since he was in secondary school, right? Still communicator. So even his current work that is communication related, right? So once in a while I call him and I say, hey, but what do you think about this, right? And I know you always give me, as it is, you won't give me both, right? And so people like that where I can just, so it's important that you have people like that who can help you like proofread, right? And check. That is why if you read any book by an author and the author tells you that they did not use an editor or nobody proofread, you will find errors.
True.
You will find errors, right? And that's why it's also difficult to find errors in books, maybe textbooks, or all these bestsellers, because somebody proofread the book, right?
Many people, multiple people, in fact, most times proofread the books.
Exactly. But if you don't have money to pay for that, use your friends, right? Use your friends. Use your friends. Use a founding board. So that's how to fix your grammar. You can use people, you can use Grammarly, right? And you yourself don't improve your grammar. If people have been stylishly telling you that you are taboing, my sister, my brother, you can
work on it. Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, and for those who are watching us, please leave your question and I'll ask as I go along as well. We usually do not like for this session to exceed about 7:40, 7:45. So ask a question. I wanted to ask, how does, for example, somebody who's just has a pet project, for example, I mean, there are people who may have a pet project where they are very passionate about adolescent girls. At what point do you feel that you would need an international grant? What point would you say a person is ripe enough, an organization or something?
I think the point where you start thinking grants is the point where, especially for people who are doing pet projects, is a point where your pocket starts telling you that you're about to go.
Okay.
At that point, why you go like, nah, your pocket is warning you. It's at that point, because, see, the thing is this, if you are super rich and you can fund the projects, there's no need applying for grants. Leave grants for people who need it. It's not like somebody like Dangote applying for grants, like Abba, right?
Giving out some of them.
It's a different conversation if Dangote is asking his fellow billionaires to join him and donate their money so that they can do more. For instance, Tony Elumelu Foundation is also getting grants from other foundations. But Tony Elumelu is not trying to be a pest, right? It's not as if he's greedy. No. What he's doing is he's doing an incredible work, donating his own money. And he's then looking at other people like, come and join me, right? So it's different. So for people who are ready to buy rich, please, by all means, do continue the good work you're doing. It's not people like you that we're looking for applying for grants.
Looking for people who... Okay.
Yes. So for a lot of NGOs, especially who you're struggling to do, you like the work that you're doing, right? You want to do it full time, right? But you're struggling to look for. I think like you should seriously consider grant funding. And another thing is to also think about how your NGO can also make some money. Yes. So you can offer some form of consulting, because sustainability is key. Funders will not like to give you money and then after 1 year, after the funding stops, the program stops, right?
So consistency.
Yes. So sustainability is one of the key questions that they actually answer in almost every grant application. They will ask you, what is your plan for sustainability? How do you plan to continue this program after the initial funding runs out?
Right.
Yeah. Right. So as an NGO, you also need to be thinking about, okay, how can we sustain ourselves even if grant funding doesn't come in? Because grant funding can be unpredictable, right? except you are extremely good or you are probably teaming up with maybe an agency like Grandmaster, it's not very predictable. The flow is not very, very predictable, right? And we are very passionate with working with NGOs because we understand that a lot of NGOs are doing incredible. The work that government cannot do, government cannot do everything, right? You don't expect that government will fix everything. Government will fix the roads in your area. They will fix borehole in your place. They will dig well. They will fix education. Government cannot do everything.
Right.
Even in advanced countries like the United States, government is not doing everything. So why do you expect government to do everything? No, there are some plugs, there are some gaps that NGOs, are better suited to plug.
Right.
So for NGOs, yes. So for NGOs,
okay, go on.
Okay. So for NGOs, think about sustainability, right? How can we grow, even when grant funding doesn't come in? How can we make some money? Is it consulting? Can we sell something? Right? Yes. The fact that an NGO does not mean you can't sell something.
Yes.
Right? I have a friend doing menstrual pads for young ladies, right? It's an NGO. But what they're doing is they're selling it at a very subsidized cost.
Okay.
But for a very tiny amount of money. And when they apply for grant, they say, oh, if you fund us, your donation will be able to fund our drive. We'll be able to donate to maybe 1,000 girls, right? But they're also making money. So as an NGO, because a lot of times NGOs struggle, they go like, oh, we're not winning grant funding, nobody's helping us. Even as you're winning the grant funding and you're getting some little support, start thinking about sustainability, right? We don't need to have this conversation with businesses. Businesses are already generating money.
Okay.
This is the interesting thing about the work we do at Grandmaster. The people who need our services the most are actually NGOs, right? But half of the time they can't afford us. And a lot of times what we then do when working with NGOs is on a case-by-case basis, we see how we can sometimes, waive the fee, reduce the fee. We do all kinds of things to help NGOs, right, on our own part. Because we truly understand that it's not as if they don't want to hire us. They just don't have the money, right? So this situation is different from businesses. Businesses already have the money to go.
Yes.
Business are just saying, this is my idea. This is what I want to apply for. Let's go. Right. But it's not the same with NGO. So for any NGO who's watching this right now, you need to start thinking sustainability.
Okay.
Sustainability, right? Because grant funding.
What value can I offer that people would pay for, even though
exactly.
I'm an NGO?
Exactly. That's very key. Sustainability.
Okay. So, but are there some NGOs that are more likely? You know how, for example, perhaps women, Nigerian men in PR, for example. Our passion is for Nigerian women to see more women in PR actually, so level up, get leadership positions, know more, do better. So that's our passion. But would we be considered, for example, if we're vying for a grant, that somebody that's passionate about orphans? I know that people would be more sympathetic towards that kind of. So are there certain kinds of, projects that will get more sympathy and, of course, then easier to get grants?
No, not at all. It's a function of the funder. Every funder has an agenda. You remember what I said the other time, that funders have money, they don't have time.
Right.
So every funder has an agenda. When you go to their website, whether it's the American Gates Foundation, whether it's the USAID, whether it's DRK, FID, whatever the name of the grant, every funder has an agenda, right? So you go to the funder's website and then you check for the agenda. They will literally tell you that these are the sectors we support.
Okay.
There are some funders that only support education-based projects.
Wow.
So if your project does not have something to do with education, they will not fund it. So to your question, what you can then do is sometimes you can then find a way to design a project that is education-based.
Okay.
For instance, if Nigerian women in PR were to start mentoring students in university who are studying PR-related courses like mass comm, or are interested in entering into that industry. If Nigerian women in PR design a program around that, that's education now.
We do. We have a project called the Nigerian Campus Student Summit. In fact, just last week, we just did one at Akungba University in Akungba. We're doing one at Lead City next week, where we actually get speakers, we educate people, and obviously let them know that there's obviously a viable career in PR and communication. So
Fantastic. So who is funding our program right now? Do you have any major sponsors?
Self-funded. No. We're just doing it. Yeah, so we get the speakers, we don't pay them, we get them to just partner. The volunteers really are the ones who,
that is the kind of program that funders want to back. Why? Because, you see, the story goes like this. There is a huge gender gap in the in fact, the name of the space, right? So it's the digital communication space, the digital literacy space. There's a gender gap in almost every sector, right? So the story is that there's a huge gender gap, right? In order to allow more women to join this industry, in order to lead more young girls out of poverty into prosperity, right? Nigerian women in PR is going to train, plug in the number of people are going to train, right? And connect them with mentors and industry veterans.
Yes.
See, that's the kind of thing that others want to hear. They want to hear that you're going to, the program is going to affect the lives of less privileged people, the lives of marginalized people. And if you're showing them like real examples or real case studies, or you're walking them through from start to finish how that's going to happen, that's the kind of thing that gets funded.
Okay, so perhaps we need to see you, see Grandmaster, and collaborate with you and make this happen.
Of course.
Absolutely fantastic. All right, so if there's anybody that has a question, please share in the comment section before we let Benga go. He's talked at length about how to successfully apply for international grant, because applying is one thing and then getting it is another thing. You know, getting the grant and applying for the grant, I mean. So if there's any question you have, maybe a small project you're wondering if you're, you know, if you obviously would be considered, you want to ask Benga, because really he's been there, done that, he's got the t-shirt. So that's why we had him on. We've had him on as our guest today, because really this is what he does. This is what his organization does. So I've been asking a lot of questions, basing Nigerian men in PR, as you know, because I mean, I'm a volunteer here, and we do great work. That I can say for Nigerian men in PR. We do great work, and I think our founder is in here. I don't know if Tolulope Lauren Dara is still here. She joined us, and she's here as well, and we do fantastic work. So it'd be great, obviously, to be able to do more, because really, if you're doing something you're passionate about, it's always great when you have money in order to be able to do more. So Benga has talked to us about some of the common mistakes that people make and how you can, you know, also qualify. So if we don't have any question, finally, Benga, what are are there any words that you have for people out there on getting, apart from, of course, teaming up with Grandmaster, what are the other tips that you can give for people who are trying to apply for grants?
Okay, so I think I will just share some tips about applying for grants generally, especially for businesses, even for NGOs. When you find out that you're applying for programs and opportunities and you're getting rejected, right, it's also a form of feedback. So you also want to ask yourself critical questions like, is this working? What I'm doing, is it working? Right? Is it time to quit? Right? See, there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be ashamed of. If you're in a particular kind of business and you find out it's not working, but you're not a tree. If you're an NGO, you're running some talent programs and you find out your family losing money or the impact is not there, but you're not a tree. So the first thing here is pivot. If you find out that what you're doing is not working and you try, now the thing is that nothing works the first time, right? It takes time. But if after spending time and energy and try to learn and it's still not working, you should consider pivoting, right? Another thing you should think about is essentially impact. Am I solving a pressing problem people are willing to pay for, especially for businesses?
Right.
If it's an NGO, if people are, of course, an NGO, so you may not be selling things, right? But am I solving a pressing problem that people are? Let me give you an example. A lot of people, when they start businesses, they think, people are going to love this product. They're going to like it, right? And then what do? They register a company, you know, they do branding, spend money on website, logo, right? Do marketing. And 6 months later, they find out that nobody wants the food that they cook in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I can talk to this because I've been there, right? When there was something we launched in 2019 called Polygons. And it was a citizen platform where people can complain about something that is wrong in their area. Maybe there's pothole in the area, insecurity, can go online to complain. And then that portal, the idea is that we will also connect the decision maker, like for elected politicians there. So they will see what people are saying in each area. And we're so excited about the solution.
Yeah.
In fact, we got into a global competition, right? Top 24 in the world, top 6 in the world, you know. I flew to Bahrain, the top of the world. They're like, yeah, let's do it. When we got to the finals, the judges asked me a simple question. They said, who will pay for this? Simple question. And I started saying, when we have traffic, we will then do hard. Once somebody is telling you that that's how they want to make money, just know that this is a very It's a long road to freedom.
I don't want
like
a burden. Don't put a burden on my head.
Exactly, right? So, in fact, once I saw the reaction on the face of the judges, I just knew, like, Jesus said of the cross, it is finished.
Wow.
By the time I came out of that contest, I still tried to keep that identity. Like, it wasn't working, right? People were not, see, elected politicians in Nigeria know the problem. People are shouting at them on Twitter every day. So it's not your new platform that will show them what the problem is. They know ahead. So what we're trying, it makes sense in our head, but nobody wanted what we're trying to do. So, impact. What you're doing must solve a pressing problem. How do you know it's a pressing problem? If it's a business, people will need to pay for it. Right? Like, let me give an example. So sometimes at Grandmaster, we literally don't take on clients because they don't meet some certain criteria. Right? Maybe they are not eligible for the grant that they want to apply for, or something is wrong somewhere, and we tell them that, sorry, we can't take on this project, and we give them the reasons why.
Yeah.
Now, that does not sound like, that does not sound like a conventional business.
Yeah.
Imagine that you are doing business and once in a while you have to reject it. That is not normal. That can only happen when you have a lot of people knocking on your door. For you to sell some people that, I'm sorry, at this time you cannot work with you, right?
Yeah.
It's totally different from a regular business. Some businesses, when they open, they are literally begging people to come and buy. Haven't you seen people who be harassing family and friends, on their on Twitter, on Instagram, and even on WhatsApp status? Some people will even be writing there that family and friends that don't buy from you, they don't like you. If they don't do what you ask them,
they don't want.
They don't need it. It's just as simple as that,
yes.
Right? So another thing is that if you want to win grants, you have to be good at telling stories. Facts tell, but stories sell. You have to be good at telling stories. Now, if you're not good at telling stories, you probably should consider hiring, a rockstar grandmaster.
Telling the story,
That's probably where the kind of work we do at grandmaster comes in. Because essentially, we know what the partners are looking for, and so we'll ask you, we'll get that story out of you. By fire, by force. We'll get it out of you. Because if you've done incredible work, you must have case studies. Right? Except you're just starting out. You must have case studies. Like Nigerian women in PR, for instance, now. Those events that you've had, those people that you've touched their life. I want to believe that you are collecting stories. Because those stories, those testimonials in church. Why do you do testimonies in church and in religious organizations in mosque? What do you want people to share? What Allah has done in their life, what God has done in their life. It's to inspire other people now.
True.
So as a business owner, as an NGO owner or NGO leader or business leader, whether you're telling stories, start collecting those case studies. Anytime the customer reaches out to you, say, thank you for, do a screenshot, interview them, right? Because those stories are the kind of things that you use in your applications. Let me tell you a short story. So, sometime last year, we met Nakin. That was late 2020. Nakin during COVID, when COVID first started and lockdown was everywhere, right? And so Nakin had to lock down our school because there was a time where schools, everything was just on lockdown.
Yes.
Now, students were at home. They were doing Zoom classes free of charge. When they tried to chat on Zoom, the parents were like, no, we will not pay. Exactly. Now, the parents will pay because the parents will just take their kids to another school. Right? And it's even lockdown period. They'll just start online lessons with another school, right? They didn't want to do it to kids. They actually wanted the kids to learn, right? But they needed to pay salaries. So that made a difficult decision. She fired some people, right? Laid them off. Very difficult decision. Started paying her salary just so she could keep people, together. She then went to debt. She was close to closing out that school. She was very close. Then somebody told her about the Facebook brand. Then her friend told her about Grandmaster, like, have you heard these guys? And she said, oh, let me try. She reached out to us. We worked with Nagin. First of all, we paid her with an accountant because that kind of financial that don't people attention. We paid her with the chartered accountant. That's the first thing we did. Next, we paid her with a rockstar grant writer. Long story short, Nagin won that grant. A primary school won the grant. She bought a lot of play things from the school, renovated the school, right? Essentially, that grant, right, literally transformed the school. Literally, right? In fact, if you go to our website, our stories, is a story that will feature prominently. We always tell people that if a primary school owner can win a grant, you can win a grant. Because if you are doing something, that people love, that is really changing lives, right?
Somebody will support it. Everybody wants to support something that's adding value, that's making a change, that's solving a problem.
Exactly.
Founders
Right?
want to support
So
that.
I just tell the story of Nike to illustrate my point about storytelling, right? And you can see. So some people who are watching this session right now, they may not even remember all the things I've said, but most of them will remember the story of Nike.
Yes.
A primary school teacher, what the grandmaster, what a grant. That's the power of storytelling. Stories are sticky. They are sticky. They are like gum.
Wow.
They are very sticky. Facts tell, but
They stick.
stories sell.
Yes.
Yes.
Love that.
Transportation leads to persuasion. Right? So stories are like capsules, transportation capsules, where you can move people from where they are to where you want them to be. Transportation is
Work your
persuasion.
imagination. Yes. True.
Exactly. Right? That's
Wow.
why movies are huge and people will read stories, novels. And anytime somebody says story, we adjust our chair. We go, oh, yeah, let's go there.
Want to hear the gist. True. Wow, that's phenomenal. And I think that's such a great place to end this, because I mean, not everybody can tell a story. That's why you should go to maybe do a workshop, do a course, whatever that can help you to tell your story better. I know that it doesn't come naturally to everyone, but then you could do. There are lots of workshops out there. There are lots of people who are doing trainings on how to tell compelling stories. Read up on the internet, go to YouTube, whatever. You can learn, because you can only tell a compelling story. Then how do people remember you? How can you get this grant? So wow, thank you so much, Benga, for your
Thanks for
time.
having me.
I can't believe that 1 hour you really felt like
Just like that.
I know that they'll cut us off by 8 on the dot. I mean, I would have continued, because it's been phenomenal. I'm glad that we can obviously save this on our page, so people who have missed this, or if there's something you missed, you can go back and watch. But I want to appreciate you, Benga, for taking the time out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Investing time, in the people in our community. We appreciate that. And well done with all that you're doing. You've stayed consistent, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you very much. I'm also looking for that job in PR.
Thank you. We'll see you in camera, but
no problem. Let's do it.
Yes, we'll collaborate. That would be nice. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening, Benga.
I need to thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of today's edition of PRandMore. It's been amazing. And I hope that you watch back. We will put up this video by next week. We'll put up the video. So please go and watch. If you're struggling with getting international grants for your NGO, for your project, for your business, Benga has succinctly, talked about some of the very amazing things that can help you successfully apply and get international grants. And the key thing really is that if you're doing something valuable, there are people who will put their money on you, who will bet their money on you. So if you're giving value, if you're solving a problem, there are people who would definitely place a bet on you. So watch this video back. And don't forget, follow us on social media, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. We're at NG Women in PR. Go to the link in bio. If, like me, you want to be a volunteer or member of Nigerian Women in PR, want more women to join us, women from different categories and different walks of life, different levels. Join us as we continue to empower young women, older women, women from, in PR. And of course, I'm sure that we can do a lot together. Thank you very much. My name is Runke Giwa Onofuwa. In 2 weeks, we'll be back with another edition of PRandMore. So join us. That one is going to be another amazing one. Trust me. It's going to be great. So make sure to join us then. All right. Thank you for joining us, and catch you next time.